Hello there and welcome to another character profile. Every country has that major pop culture icon that has come to define them. Great Britain has Harry Potter, the United States has Superman, Tintin is Belgium's symbol, and Asterix is a major French spokesman, to name some examples. The subject of today's profile, however, is probably the most iconic and beloved character to come out of Japan. Osamu Tezuka's beloved creation, Mighty Atom, or, as the rest of the world has come to know him, Astro Boy. Astro Boy first appeared in the manga pages in 1952 and has managed to stay culturally relevant ever since, with Tezuka's smart stories, strong characters, and social commentary. However, what is this character's origin? The character started life as a young boy named Tobio, whose father is the head of the Ministry of Science, Dr. Tenma. After getting into a terrible car accident which kills him, Tenma is distraught and in his grieving decides to build an exact robot replica of his son. However, no matter how hard he tries, Tenma is unable to look at this robot as Tobio and sells him to the circus. The new head of the Ministry of Science, Professor Okanomizu, finds the robot boy and brings him back to Tokyo. Not only does he get his own set of robot parents and a sister, but he becomes a student in school under the guidance of Mustachio, his teacher and a renowned private detective. He's also given the new name Astro Boy, based on his extraordinary powers built into his system by Dr. Tenma. He has 100,000 horsepower, has the ability to fly, and can even shoot bullets out of his rear end when need be. With these abilities, he becomes a superhero, saving the world from various threats and villains. What helps Astro Boy stand out as an incredible and exciting manga is that Tezuka is not afraid of going in some dark directions. It's very much the Pinocchio story, except it all starts with the death of a child, and Astro does not wish to be a real boy, instead choosing to help those in need. And something that tends to happen in almost every story is Astro being broken to pieces, which is a smart move on Tezuka's part, since knowing he's not invincible makes the battles that much more suspenseful. The comic also takes on serious social issues which, while obvious, Tezuka's smart not to beat the message over the audience's heads. In this futuristic world, robots are given equal rights, but still seen as second-class citizens, only meant to serve man. In one excellent story, for instance, a robot becomes the first to be elected president, which the robot population is incredibly excited by, but a radical group seeks nothing more than to have him overthrown. Then there are other comics where Astro fights against his own kind who go awry and only see the bad side of humans. That's the beauty of the manga, in that Astro fought all sorts of groups who sought to bring destruction to Japan and the rest of the world. His greatest nemesis was Atlas, which has similar powers to Astro but has evil intentions. The manga also broke the fourth wall on occasion, as the characters are where they are in a comic book, and Tezuka will occasionally throw nods to some of his influences like Hergé and Walt Disney. There was also a lot of wordplay involved, which the Dark Horse edition released a number of years back did its best to try and translate into English. For years, rough translations of the manga were released, but this is the definitive, official, and unedited English version that is certainly a must-read. With the immense success of Astro Boy in Japan, the character soon made the way to other media. His first screen appearance came in the form of a cheap live-action version that looks rather silly when viewed today. Naturally, animation became the medium of choice to bring Astro to life, and thus the first animated series, Astro Boy, aired on Japanese television sets in 1963, and then was later sold to NBC for American distribution. Probably the most notable aspect to come out of the show was the iconic theme song, which was then given lyrics by the American producers. That said, I feel that the 60s show lacks the excitement of the manga. The animation is rather cruddy and cheap looking, and I couldn't connect with Astro the way I did on the page. Even Tezuka was less than satisfied with the show, and in 1980, he authorized a new animated series. In my opinion, this is the best screen adaptation of Astro Boy's adventures. It captures the excitement, spirit, humor, sadness, and social commentary of the original manga, and all in a glorious full-color animation and excellent English dub. Much like the comics, I found myself gripped through each episode, with each character being incredibly well-rounded. There is a bit of confusion early on regarding Atlas's origin story, which wasn't released in the English dub, but otherwise it is a splendid, very well-written show that perfectly encompasses that Astro Boy feeling. Unfortunately, that would be the final time Osamu Tezuka would explore the world of Astro Boy as he passed away on February 9th, 1989. Though he had been influenced by many great artists, he himself became the inspiration for many more throughout the years, most notably Hayao Miyazaki, Marisa de Souza, and even Frank Miller. The art of manga and anime can easily be traced back to Tezuka and what he did in both of those mediums. However, Astro Boy would continue to live on. In 2003, a new anime series was produced, and at first I didn't care for it. I wasn't a fan of the animation style, and the new character names perplexed me. But after watching a number of episodes, it has since grown on me. Though it doesn't compare to the fantastic 1980s series, it's still a solid show in its own right. Not surprisingly, for years there have been talks of turning Astro Boy into a live-action feature. Jim Henson Pictures announced plans to do one, but it never came to fruition, and Steven Spielberg even held the film rights at one point. I think with the right people involved and the right amount of care and effort put into it, a live-action Astro Boy Hollywood blockbuster could work. With Steven Spielberg currently bringing Tintin to the screen, maybe Astro is the next logical step for him. In 2009, a computer-animated feature was made by Imagi Studios, with Freddie Highmore providing the voice of Astro Boy. Though the origin story was changed, it still did a very good job of bringing the iconic character to three-dimensional life and didn't tone down the commentary and thematic elements of the manga. Director David Bowers understood the appeal of Astro and kept his integrity intact. The action was exciting, and John Alman's score proved to be rousing and fantastic. However, it was a box office dud, even in Astro's home country of Japan, and ultimately bankrupted Imagi Studios. This was mainly due to lack of marketing on Summit Entertainment's part, as I think it definitely stood a chance of being a success, and they could have explored the character even further in future sequels. I would especially like to have seen Atlas being brought to life, had they done a second one. Thankfully, that won't be the end of Astro Boy. The manga is still being read around the world, and why not? He's one of the best characters to ever come out of the comic book pages, with his childhood innocence, but also a sense of adventure. It's able to tackle social issues in a subtle way without losing its sense of fun. Believe me, once you start to read an Astro Boy manga, you'll find it very difficult to put it down. They're that good. See you next time.